Texas, a giant land full of longhorns, ranches, rangers, cowboys, cowboy boots, cowboy hats, and even cowboy. Okay, you get the point. But this Wild West state, which spans nearly 270,000 square miles, isn't just saloons, standoffs, and cattle drives. I mean, there's also Whataburger. No wonder nearly 30 million people now call the Lone Star State home. And with a low cost of living, no state income tax, and so many incredible diverse cities and gorgeous unique landscapes, you might want to join them. But since the state is so massive that it literally takes 12 hours just to drive across, with different parts almost feeling like entirely separate countries, you probably don't know where to start. That's where we come in. We ranked the following cities and towns mainly on their economy, safety, cost of living, schools, amenities, and quality of life, and made sure to include something for everyone. These are the top 10 best places to live in Texas. And let's hit 5,000 likes for a video on the 10 best places to live in California. Number 10. Actually, we're gonna start off with a quick honorable mention. McAllen. What the heck is a McAllen? Sounds like a special McDonald's menu item they only have at military bases. What? No. Okay, fine. I know most people don't really think much about the lower Rio Grande Valley, but it's honestly only their loss because it's home to actual year-round warm weather and some of the safest cities in the country. And out of all of them, McAllen might just be the best, with modern infrastructure and so much to do, especially when you include the entire metropolitan area, which has 881,000 residents. There's fun nightlife and live music all along 17th Street, incredible diverse restaurants that grow by the month, and tons of unique natural landscapes ranging from salt lakes to cactus gardens to forests, bird sanctuaries, and wildlife refuges. Not to mention, the schools are great, traffic is nearly non-existent, and it's still dirt cheap with a median home cost of just $208 grand. The only thing keeping McAllen out of the actual top 10 is the economy, which doesn't offer many high-paying jobs outside of the medical field, leading to a median household income of only 49 grand. But hey, at least you're just an 80-minute drive from South Padre Island, aka the best beaches in Texas. But now for actual number 10, Denton. But that's just a Dallas suburb. Well, if you really think that, you've obviously never been here, because even if it were literally in the middle of nowhere, Denton would still more than hold its own. With an art-centered aesthetic and tons of live music literally every night, this under-the-radar college town feels like a mini Austin in a lot of ways. Well, Austin before the tech moguls and Californians took over. Downtown, centered around Denton Square, is super walkable with so many eccentric shops and restaurants, each with their own unique theme, ranging from old Western antique stores to funkier industrial coffee shops to an arcade bar to gnome cones. And while there are plenty of other weird and whimsical attractions like the Wall of Art or the Cherry Orchard, Denton also has all your big box stores, green spaces, and parks at a fraction of the cost of other Dallas suburbs, with a median home value of just 392 grand. Add in the fact that it's incredibly safe, the schools are above average, and that Dallas and Fort Worth are both just 40-minute drives away, and it's no wonder the residents are some of the happiest, friendliest people you will ever meet. Number 9, San Antonio. Home to the historic Alamo and Riverwalk and amusement parks like Six Flags and SeaWorld, San Antonio is by far the biggest tourist town in Texas. But while it's technically the 7th largest US city and 2nd largest in the state by population, that's mostly just due to how wide the city limits are. Because at its core, San Antonio is much more a laid-back, very spread out large town than an actual big city. But that's not a bad thing. The Alamo City has the perfect blend of small town vibes with overwhelmingly friendly residents who genuinely care to get to know you, while still having access to real big city amenities like a zoo, NBA basketball, cultural and historical attractions, fun and quirky mini neighborhoods with nightlife and top-notch restaurants, and of course, the Riverwalk. And with nearly perfect weather, some of the best schools in the state, and miles upon miles of gorgeous hiking trails through the nearby hills, rivers, springs, and caves, San Antonio is one of the best places to live and save money and raise a family. Especially since the economy is growing fast with 6.74% wage growth just this past year. And considering that the median home value is still just $300K, it makes so much sense why it's one of the fastest growing metros with an annual population increase of over 1.5%. Number 8. Houston. While San Antonio might feel like the smallest big city, Texas's largest city, Houston, is a true cosmopolitan metropolis, and actually the most diverse US city. As such, it's home to incredible culinary experiences, high-end shopping, 2 international airports, great nightlife, tons of green spaces and parks, over 150 museums, and a highly ranked opera, orchestra, and theater scene. Not to mention, it's less than an hour from the beach. So how's it only number 8? Especially since it's also the most affordable big city with a median home cost of just $272,000 while also having a great economy with a median household income of nearly $70K? Well, it is a big city, which means it also comes with the usual big city problems like horrendous traffic and crime. The violent crime rate is actually 225% above the national average. And in addition to those issues, Houston's location makes it prone to a set of unique issues in the form of natural disasters, with hurricanes, floods, hailstorms, blue northers, tornadoes, and even sharknadoes being a common occurrence. Okay, maybe not the last one, but overall, the weather just stinks. Not only do you have unbearable heat and humidity for half the year, the winters can also get pretty darn cold. Number 7, San Marcos. San Marcos? Polo! Now, technically, San Marcos is a suburb of Austin, but that would also be the worst way to describe it because this funky little college town might even be more weird than Texas's capital, while not being nearly as busy and actually safe. Although that may not last for long, since it's also one of the fastest growing cities with an annual population increase over 3%. But can you blame people for wanting to live here? The median home value of $392,000 is a fraction of the cost of Austin, and you truly get the best of both worlds, with a laid-back lifestyle where no one's in a rush and people take the time to say hi, while still having a fun, lively city to explore full of live music and art, and great venues, bars, and breweries. And if you ever need a break from the social scene, you're also in the heart of hill country, which means there are so many gorgeous rivers, forests, meadows, canyons, bluffs, and swimming holes close by. Not to mention, San Marcos is perfectly positioned between San Antonio and Austin, being around a 50-minute drive from the former and only 30 minutes from the latter. But unfortunately, you will likely have to do one of those commutes if you want a good paying job, since the local economy is mostly just based around Texas State and the low-wage tourism industry. Number 6, Corpus Christi. Texas's largest coastal city, might also be its best coastal city, although it still isn't very big with a metro population of only 442,000. But that also means for many, it's the perfect balance of having enough to do with fun bars, festivals, events like the Art Walk, AA baseball, and a few museums, historic sites, and music venues, while still maintaining that small town charm with friendly residents and literally no traffic. But the best thing about Corpus is it's where Whataburger started. Oh, just me? Okay, fine. The actual best thing about living here is that you're less than 30 minutes from the beautiful beaches of Padre Island. Corpus Christi's coastal location with perfect year-round temperatures that rarely go below 60 or above 90 means life here revolves around the ocean, with delicious seafood and so many water activities from fishing to sailing, kite surfing, seashell collecting, beach bonfires, and even a water park downtown. Now sure, the economy isn't the best, with a median household income of only $57,400, but when you consider that it's still super affordable with a median home cost of just $218,000, wages really aren't that bad. Number 5. Dallas. Houston may be the largest Texan city by population, but the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex is by far the largest metropolitan area in the state and 4th largest in the country with 7.76 million residents. And despite its already massive size, the population continues to grow by 1.6% each year, mainly due to Dallas's booming economy. With 22 Fortune 500 companies, there are so many amazing job opportunities in tech, finance, defense, life sciences, telecommunications, energy, and semiconductors, leading to a median household income of $72,300 and an unemployment rate of just 3.3%. And when you consider the incredible schools, great barbecue, and pretty much every big city amenity you could think of, including the largest arts district in the US, the median home cost of just $336,000 is practically a steal. But while the Big D has plenty of world-class museums, bars, restaurants, concerts, shows, parks, sports, shopping, and even a few hip neighborhoods like Oak Lawn, Uptown, Bishop Arts, and Deep Ellum, which is sort of like a mini Austin with live music everywhere. As a whole, Dallas just lacks a lot of the soul and character that make other big cities fun and unique. So sure, it checks all the boxes of things a big city should have, but it's more a sprawling suburbia where you need to drive long distances to access those amenities rather than a true urban metropolis. Number 4. Fort Worth. If you're moving to the DFW strictly to work, then yeah, Dallas is probably a better fit. But if you care about charm, unique attractions, and actually having fun, Fort Worth is where you want to be. The historic city was the last stop on the Chisholm Trail, the center of the Texas Longhorn cattle trade, and effectively the start of the Wild West. And it's embraced and preserved its Western heritage ever since. The Stockyards District is a blast from the past with the world's only daily cattle drive, in addition to rodeos, live music, museums, and Western-themed stores along its brick-lined streets. And while Cowtown may be the most Texan city, it also offers something for every type of lifestyle, from great nightlife, dining, and shopping all along West 7th Street to an incredible array of museums and gardens in the neighboring cultural district to the number 2 rated zoo in the nation and so many beautiful green spaces and parks. And unlike Dallas's downtown, which is very corporate and chic, Fort Worth's, dubbed Sundance Square, is much more laid back and pedestrian focused, with cutting-edge restaurants, bars, cafes, and boutiques, as well as the stunning water gardens. Add in the fact that it's much safer than Dallas, still has good paying jobs, and is even slightly cheaper with a median home cost of just $333,000, and it's no wonder Fort Worth is the fastest growing big city in the country. Number 3. El Paso. In a lot of ways, El Paso doesn't really feel like a part of Texas. Heck, it's the only Texan city on Mountain Time, and it's actually closer to San Diego than it is to Houston. Not to mention, it's part of the largest bilingual, binational workforce in the Western Hemisphere, with thousands of people crossing the border from Juarez every day to work and study in El Paso, and vice versa, giving the city a unique identity and culture that isn't quite Mexican or American, yet also a combination of both. Downtown and the surrounding areas have so much charm, with historic sites and buildings along the Mission Trail, next to lively open-air markets and street vendors, next to offices, next to high-end restaurants and hipster cafes. Speaking of which, I have been to every major city in this country, and by far the best Mexican food and coffee I have ever had was here.
But wait, if El Paso is a big city on the border, doesn't that mean it's super dangerous?
Well, actually the opposite. It's one of the safest US cities. And if all that still isn't enough to convince you to move here, maybe the fact that it gets 302 sunny days a year, is close to so much breathtaking nature, has some of the best schools in the state, and is still dirt cheap with a median home value of just $191,000 will. Number 2. Plano.
Enough with the Dallas-Fort Worth area! It's like half the list so far!
Well, what can I say? It's one of the best metros in the country and features many of the best places to raise a family. And out of all of them, Plano might just be the best. It's the safest city in Texas and 12th safest in the US overall. The schools are among the best in the nation, and while it technically is a suburb, Plano is anything but plain. Sure, you won't find any raging nightlife, but there's a cute downtown and other walkable dining areas like Legacy Hall and the Boardwalk at Granite Park, great Asian food, tons of green spaces, plenty of community events, and so many historic homes and neighborhoods. With that being said, this high of a quality of life usually doesn't come cheap, and the median home cost is $546,000. But there are also tons of amazing job opportunities with Capital One, Toyota Financial, PepsiCo, JCPenney, FedEx, and Liberty Mutual all being located here, leading to the highest median household income of any place on the list at $96,000. And if you ever get bored, Dallas is just 30 minutes away. Now, before we get to number 1, make sure you leave a like and subscribe, and let me know which state you want us to cover next.
But without further ado,
number 1. Austin. Yes, despite so many people continuing to move here and the cost of housing skyrocketing, Austin is not just the best city to live in Texas, it might also be the best city in the US. Because other than the median home cost of $661,000 and the bottleneck of chaos that's called Interstate 35, there's really not much to complain about. The booming economy continues to thrive with an unemployment rate of just 2.7%, a median household income of $81,000, and more huge companies moving to town every day. And while Austinites work hard, they probably play even harder because there's always so much fun going on. The food truck and beer scene is among the best in the nation. The surrounding hill country is breathtaking, and there's live music and art literally everywhere. Sure, it's not nearly as weird as it used to be, but the pros still heavily outweigh the cons, and without a doubt, Austin is the best place to live in Texas, and likely will be for the rest of the decade.